this video we are going to be creating a web crawler using PyCharm. The program is going to be written in Python. So a web crawler is just a simple program that goes to different web pages and crawl maybe certain links or certain meta tags that it will now save it into maybe like a database or a txt file or something, a CSV, comma separated value file, whereby you can now make use of that data for whatever means you want to. So what we're going to be doing today is that we're going to be creating a new project, and now that project, now once we crawl those links from the site, we're going to be sending it to a file. You can as well write it to a database, but I'm just going to send it to a file for us to just understand the concept behind it. So after seeing all that, let me go and write it into the code. I'm going to first of all create a new, rather I will not create a new project because I already have one created here. I'm just going to create a new directory. So then I'm going to call this web_crawler, if I spell that right. And I'm going to click on new, and then I'm going to click on web. I'm going to save that. It should give me the extension of .py. Now the first thing I'm going to do is that I want to install a module called Beautiful Soup 4. So I'm going to click on File, Settings, and then I'm going to come and click on this plus button sign, and then I'm going to type in the search bar beautiful, and then here you go, Beautiful Soup 4. Since I already have it installed, you can see it's highlighted in blue. I'm not going to install it, but what you just click on it, and then you click on install package, and that should settle every dependency issue you might have. After that, you will just close the page, and then you apply it, that's all, to your current project. So now, after importing that, I'm going to just import it into this class. Sorry. Import request, because we're going to be making a request to external party, that is like a server. And I'm also going to import from PS4 import Beautiful Soup. Then I'm also going to import JSON to do the proper formatting. Now I'm going to define about 4 methods. But the first one I'm going to define will be the initial brain that is making the request to the server. So what I meant was something like this. I'm going to say def def web spider. Spider. I'm going to say URL. I'm going to pass in different parameters here. URL. This max page, and we're not going to make use of it really, but I'm just putting it there because at some point you might have more than 5 pages to 10 to 15 or 100 pages you might want to crawl, and you don't want the program to get into like a non-stop loop whereby just keep looping. So you want to give it a limit, but we're not going to really make use of that in this video. Maybe in upcoming videos we are going to make use of that. So now I'm declaring about 5 argument parameters. Now I'm declaring the URL, which is the initial URL that I want to crawl. Then I'm going to declare a variable called max page, the selector, which is in the HTML, the HTML web page we're going to be crawling. The selector I'm going to be crawling, the element, then the component, short for compo, then the markup, mark underscore. I know maybe this might not make sense now, but as we keep writing, you guys will understand what I'm doing. So first of all, I'm going to say source underscore code is equal to request dot get URL. Then I'm going to pass in the URL up here. Then I'm going to say plain, another variable is equal to source, which is source code dot text. I'm going to say soup is equal to beautiful soup play, comma, and I'm going to patch this in. This HTML phaser is going to help, because if I don't put it, I might start getting some funny errors. So this is an optional parameter, but mostly it always pays out you put it. So after doing that, I will say a1 is equal to 0, because I'm going to do some logic behind it now. So what I'm trying to do with this a1 is that each time the thing looks through the HTML page and then gets a link, it should number it for me, so I can use that number like a database where we say select asterisk from where ID is equals to this. So I can also use that to retrieve the content. So now I'm going to say for, let me give a space, sorry about that. I'll say for link in soup dot find all. I'm going to put in the argument that I want. I'll say markup, which is that one I declare at the top here. I'm going to wrap this into a curly brace, just like a dictionary kind of. I'll say selector colon element. Now this is where these arguments are being passed in. I'm still going to pass the initial argument, but this I'm just referencing them within the method. Now I'm going to say href. Now this href is not the href you might think that is in the data in the web page. You can name it whatever name you want and it will still work fine. I'll say link dot get, and I'll say compo, because I want to get that component. Yeah. Then I'll say endpoint is equal to URL plus put a string here for backward slash, or rather forward slash, and I say F. Then I'm going to format the text right now, and I'll put it in the single quotes. I'll say forward slash, then I'm going to do this. I'm going to say href, because why I'm doing this is that I'm going to be getting some spaces, so I want to trim those spaces out. There are multiple ways you can do this. Actually, I'm just using this because this is what works for me. You can also use another way, and it's going to come out, and it's going to come out fine. So I'm going to call the strip method on the href that was gotten, which is this guy. I'm going to call the strip method on it. Then probably that sounds strip. Then I'm going to say forward slash. Yep. Then put it in double quotes. And I'm going to say dot replace. Then this single colon, replace it with an empty space. Then now I'm going to now define the what's it called now, the file I want to write it to. So I'm going to say width open. You can as well define this without using the word width, but what I'm using width is that I want it that each time the thing opens the project, it should automatically close it to avoid memory loss. That's why I'm using the width open. So I'm going to call the name of that is the file I'm creating, links.txt. You can call it dot whatever it is you want, but I'm just using .txt for simplicity's sake. Then I'm not going to pass another argument here, comma a. I'm going to say as fs. Fs is just like aka as this. Now I'm going to say save endpoint, comma fs, comma p1, then comma soup. Now this argument, this method now I have to define it. This save method is not a building method. So I'm going to come down here and then I'm going to say a1 plus is equal to 1. Now what I did here was that I declared the method called save that I'm going to create. Then I now come and say for every iteration you loop, get that incremented by 1 and then write it into this save method, which is going to be writing into the txt file now. So if it was 1 when it looped, when it come again, it will now be 2 to give it an idea of 2. When you loop again, to give an idea of 3. Then to pass in the formatted link that was gotten. Then this is the soup, which was used to phase it in, and then fs is just like the aka, like I told you. Of course, I'm going to still make use of it. So I'm going to come down here now, and I'm going to say div save, I'm going to pass in end underscore point, comma, fs, comma, a1, comma, sop, I'm going to open colon, I'm going to say end underscore point, which was what was passed in, is equal to endpoint dot replace. I know there's a lot of replace going on and I start making the code look a bit messy, but this was what I used and it worked for me. So you can as well use whatever you want. This is fine by me. And I'm going to replace that single quote with double quotes. So I'm going to put this now with a single quote and I'll replace it with double quote. This is what I meant. Let me remove that space so I don't get some funny error. So I'm going to say dig, which is short for dictionary, is equal to string a1 underscore endpoint, that's the fs dot write. As you can see, that fs I passed in now, this one I want to make use of it now, dot write. I'm going to pass in this string because I want to convert the dictionary into a string. Dig, then dot replace. My apologies once more because I'm seeing that the replace is getting much, making the code look a bit rough, but that's it. Then I'm going to replace this double brace because why I'm doing this is the page I'm calling, I have this because the program was written in Java actually, so I have a lot of curly braces that was used to differentiate. So I'm trying to read the value from a Python program. That's why I say I'm doing this formatting. It's not as if we don't have curly braces in Python, but it's only for dictionary. But due to when you do things like if statement, you wrap it in curly braces if you have more than one line to execute. That's why I say I'm doing this replace. So I forgot to tell you guys on the onset, the website we're going to be crawling is written in Java. I wrote it in Java. So now the WebCrawler is now written in Python. So that's how it is. Now I'm going to say dot replace. I'm going to say brace, closing brace, then comma, dot replace again. I'm going to put the single quote there, sorry about that, comma, with nothing. Then I'm going to concatenate it with a new line break, sorry. I'm going to say slash n, yeah. So now what I just did here was that, let me scroll this down a bit so you can see what I just did. Alright, so I said endpoint, get whatever it is that was passed in, replace this double quote with this single quote with double quotes. Now pass this into a dictionary, which is this a1 now that was incrementing when we were adding it here. Number it as the key value pair. So for every link you crawl the web page, that is the internet you crawl it on, give it an ID. So if for example someone now queries for this link, I can go into the data, into my file which I just created like a database, and return this ID and then to get me this value. If you understand dictionary or JSON, you want this should not be too difficult to understand. It's just like a key value pair. This is the key, use it to get this value. This is the key, use it to get this value. So now that is what this save method does. So let me quickly reformat the code. But you know what, I will do it later on. Let me just continue writing my project. So now I'm going to come here, I'm going to say div. Now this is just like me doing what is called CRUD, or post yes, CRUD, that is create, read, update, delete. But I'm not going to be deleting in this program. Maybe in upcoming videos I'm going to do a function, create a function that also delete, and then write this content to a database whereby maybe the program can be written, the web page, the links can be written in Java, then the web crawler can be written in Python, and then it can be read into a database, which a mobile app will now read the content into the mobile app. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? So if you guys want to see such a video, please drop comment in the comment section below. I'll try my best to create such. So now this is now the read. So now what this does is it reads one index, that is the ID you pass in what it will read. Just like when we say select a serif from this ID. Now this is going to say width open. I'm going to say links because that is the name of the file I created. That is where I want it to go. txt. And I'm going to say arrow, which stands for read. Then ASRE. What I meant was as RE. The same way I did as FS here, I did as RE. So now I'm going to come to the next line. I'm going to say print. Then I'm going to say RE dot read line. Then I'm going to pass this index as the position I want you to read. Now print it to the console. And after doing that, I'm not going to use a loop again to like differentiate, or rather I'm going to use this loop to give what is called like a space, so the program can do what's called iterating. I don't know if that sounds easy to understand, but let's take it as what I meant. So I'm going to say S, which is the object of the loop, and then I'm going to say end is equal to space. Actually, this is supposed to be single quotes. So that this is just a function that is built to read the ID, to read the link based on the ID. This is a function built to save to the ID. This is now the read. This is the create. The way you understand CRUD, you understand this. So now we're going to come to and create another function called read all. This will now read without any ID, just return all the whole content in the file. Same way you say select and stay read from the database, and it will return the whole content. So now I'm going to say with open. I'm going to say links txt, comma read as RE. I defined this RE before, but since it's a local variable, it's not going to have impact. I believe you guys know it's called local variable and global variable. If you guys don't know, you guys can read that up. You can drop a comment in the comment section below, and I will do my best to make to create such a video rather. So now I'm going to use the same logic I did. I'm going to say for S in read lines. Read line will just read a particular, but read lines will iterate through the whole set of value we have in the, whether it's the database or the file. You understand? So I have to pass re.read lines. That's what I'm supposed to do here. So I'm going to say colon, not a trailing comma, but colon rather. Now I'm used to writing program in Java, so I'm always doing things like this. Python, you don't forget that it's Python I'm writing. I'm going to say print s comma end with a space. So I can see that I'm having some fun. Let's see. Hold on. I wrote the line. Okay, it's supposed to be small letter. Yeah. So I think that settles it. Yes. So now I think we are done now with about 39 lines of Python. We're able to create a simple web crawler. Now you might ask me, this JSON, we did not make use of it. Well, I imported it because I want to create another video that does something like this. Now it's not writing it to an object. So for now we can just comment this out. But you know what, I'm just going to leave it here. Now let me format this code properly. I'm going to click on format, and it's going to arrange the code properly. Now what is now left now is for me to start calling this method. So now I'm going to come down this hold on, these two methods now, these two functions rather, are called independently, while this one is being called from within here. So if I call this web crawler, it will call this div, this as save, then this read and read one and read all are called independently. What do I mean by that? Now here's what I mean. I'm going to say web spider then I'm going to pass in all those arguments. So I'm going to first of all have to open my website under Chrome. I'm just going to close this out, so I'll give you a brief explanation. Now I don't know if other websites might allow you to crawl their web. Some it goes against their policies and their rule. but what happened is that I'm going to use my own personal website to make example. So I'm going to say web delete. That's the name of the website. It's a blog actually where I just blog about content, So I'm going to click on enter, and then here it is. Now what I want to get from there now is this link. All these links is what I want to get now, because it's this link that will now directly come the user now. So you can see when I click on this link, for example, let's look at this Biden administration. Click on this link, and here you go. As you can see, it directs me with this URL. Now this is what I'm interested in. This URL is what I'm trying to get. So you can from the program visit this URL directly. So what do I mean by that? So I'm just going to go back. Hold on, let me see something. Okay, alright. So I've gotten what I wanted. So I'm going to go back. Then I'm going to click Control U. What I did now was to inspect the source. I can just close this down, right click, and then click source. It's the same thing as I did before. And I'm going to look for a class selector. Then within that class selector, I'm interested in this. Let's see. No, it's not here. It's not here. This is for the title. I'm not interested in the title. What I'm interested in is the link. So I'm going to let me see. I think it's the next one. So I'm going to scroll. This is what I'm interested in now. I'm interested in this link. As you can see now, the selector of this link is IO, and this is a class. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to this URL, and I'm going to pass in the class selector, and then I'm going to pass in this. So it's going to crawl this link for me. I can as well get this image link. This is a link pointing to AWS, but I'm not interested in the image. I'm interested in the link. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just divide my screen. Yeah. So now I'm going to just scroll it up so you guys can see it. Yeah. Excuse me. So I'm going to say HTTP www.webdelete.online. This is the URL I want it to go and visit. And I'm going to pass in. Now the max page, like I said earlier on, was if you had multiple page, but since I'm not making use of it, as you can see, it's grayed out because I never made use of it. So I'm just going to leave that. I'm just going to pass 1. If I don't pass in any value, I'm not going to get an error, but due to this method accepts so and so parameter, I have to pass it in so it doesn't crash. So I'm going to say comma. Then the next thing I'm going to pass now is a class. Then I'm going to say comma. We still have about 3 arguments to go. And I'm going to pass in this IO now, or rather this O1. So I'm going to say O1 because that's what I want to get. Then I'm going to say comma. This is href, which is the link I want to get, and then the elements is a tag. Now let me walk you through this. So I'm going to say selector is this guy, which is the class. Elements is the A1, O1 rather, which is the element I want to target. Component, which is short for compo, href. So href. And then markup is this A. So this is all the argument that I will need to pass. So I need to quickly reformat this to get that gray line out of the way. As you can see, we have our argument passed in. So I'm going to just minimize this, and then I'm going to open this properly. So I'm going to run the program now. Run. Let's see if we have an error. And then here we go. It's saved. Now if I come here and I click on open, I get this txt file. And when I click on it, voila, we should have different links pointing. So if I just copy one of these, as you can see now, it is all numbered. You can see what I'm doing now. So now when I click on this now and I copy this, come to my search, whatever browser you're using, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to open a new tab. I'm going to paste this in. Let's see. And then here we go. We are directed to the web page. So this is a simple web crawler whereby Google will now return this link within the same way I opened it within this txt file. Google will now display this now on their web search engine, which is the result that I returned. And when you click on any of this link, it will now direct you. So now let's make use of this read one and then read all, so you can see what it really looks like. So I'm going to come down here. First of all, I'm going to delete this so I can run a fresh program and you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to say read, then I'm going to pass index of 5. Now if I save this and I run the program again, I should get a response in my console here. There you go. Let's see. It actually returned everything for me. So let me pause this and check why that happened. So read one. Oh, okay. I'm not supposed to pass this in. My bad. Save that. Now I'm going to delete the program again. And then I'm going to run the program. Let's see. T. Okay, it's returning T. Let me see, right? This is a 5. Let's see. Let me return the whole content first and see what's going to be the output. Now run the program again. Now let it get the content. Alright, so it has crawled the whole content now. Now this read all returned the whole content. Why this is still giving me an issue? Hold on, why I fix that. I'll get back to you guys in a moment. Alright, I was able to fix what was causing that issue now. I was supposed to pass in read lines here and not read line. That was what was causing it. So if I save it now, as you can see, I've commented out this two method. I'm just calling the one with the index of 5. So if I run the program now, here we go. So now if I click on this link, it opens in the browser and then it automatically returns me into this page. So now I'm going to close this down. And then I'm going to delete this program again. I'm not going to delete the program, I'm going to delete the link txt file. Then I'm going to uncomment this guy. Let's see what now. Yep. So now if I should, let me format the code. So I want you guys to go through the code now. Let me start from the beginning. I'm going to shift this code on. So as you can see now, here is it. Same, just 42 lines of Python. So now I'm going to run the program this time. What I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to crawl in all the content from that website, this URL. Then I'm going to create a function that reads based on the ID. As you can see, there's no link txt file created now. Now once I run the program, yep. Now we have a link txt file, and then if we open it, which is number 5, you can see it EID21. Let me shift this a bit. So you can see that EID21. So now let me change the value. Now let me say 12. Hopefully it's up to 12. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to just comment this out, because if I run it again, it's going to repeat the loop and then make the request. So I'm going to run it now. As you can see now, I get something else now. EID1. Let me shift this properly so you can see that. EID1. And if I open this up, 12, EID1 on that category of names. So that's how to create a simple web crawler page let me uncomment, let me comment this and then uncomment this guy, so you can see how you can return all the content in the web page. So I'm going to run it now. I'm going to return all the values within, as you can see, within our mini database, which is a txt file, and it's going to return them the web page. Now all this now can be written through a post request now, maybe to a Spring Boot application or a REST API. So I really want to build this into something interesting. So if you guys are interested, please comment in the comment section below and I will do my best to create such. Having said that, thank you for watching and have a good day and keep learning. Yeah.